Hello, trainers. Welcome to another episode of this podcast. We're going to be jumping into Go Battle League once again, jumping in the new season that's coming up next week on March 4th at 1 p.m. PST time. That's a Tuesday if you don't know. It is the Might and Mastery season now. They just gave us the updates this morning for what to expect for the schedule coming next week with the new league, the new Go Battle League, and the updates to movesets and Pokemon that learn new moves. So without a doubt, let's jump right into it. Starting on the Tuesday, March 4th, be sure to get a star piece clipped. Use your star piece. Don't forget. I'm not going to edit this out. Don't forget. If you've hit Veteran, Ace, Expert, and or Legend, you'll get a boost in your Stardust with a star piece. Usually people will go crazy with the notifications on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, for that stuff. So just to be aware, get your start piece going. Tuesday, we are going to jump into Great League first and Willpower Cup, which is not anything new. Usually with the new season, they start off with a Great League and then something of sorts similar to it, which Willpower Cup is one of my personal favorite cups. A lot of people kind of either love it or hate it, but I don't think there's going to be anything different in terms of Pokemon that we might see with the movesets, because I did take a little peek before I started recording this. Jumping into March 11th, which is going to be Ultra League and Scroll Cup, which is a new Great League edition. And then March 18th, we're going to jump into Master League with a continuation of Scroll Cup. March 25th, we're going to have all leagues open. And April 1st, we're going to have Great League and Master Premier, which a lot of people are going to probably jump into Great League itself there. April 8th, we're going to be Ultra League and Spring Cup, which I think it's a new cup. If not, it's newer. April 15th week, we're going to get Master League and Spring Cup once again for Great League Edition. April 22nd, all leagues open. April 29th, they're going to have Great League Remix, which I always like Great League Remix. May 6th, we're going to have Ultra League and then Great League Remix continuation. May 13th, they're going to have Master League and Retro Cup Great League Edition. Coming into May 20th is going to be Great League and Catch Cup Great League Edition continuation. And then the last of the week, it's going to be all leagues open May 27th. So not too bad. Our bonuses for Go Battle Week, not weekend, actually week, is getting 4 Stardusts from Win Rewards. It doesn't include the end of set rewards, which is always a beneficial thing. Usually these Go Battle weeks and weekends, you get about 100 battles per day. So if it's going to be the week, it's going to be the whole week, right? Yeah, the 21st to the 27th of May. So that is the end of the week. So that means we're going to get a whole week's worth of Great League and Catch Cup, which it's not too bad. I mean, I wish it was obviously Master League, but something to consider about. Usually rewards are not something that I really go crazy about. The avatar, if you haven't seen the avatar pose for Legends, I like it personally. Something a little bit different. The actual avatar pieces, the outfit itself, I think is a little bit less than what we've been typically seeing the prior seasons. I think Niantic's been usually crushing it for the outfits, and this one's okay. You know, it's a little bit of an update to like the original outfits that we would see from Pokemon Go. So more than anything, not too bad. Something I'll look forward to when it comes to hitting Legend, because at this point now, with all these seasons of GBL, it's really the pose for me that just makes me want to push to hit Legend. I think this season is definitely a push. This past season now, the Legend pose was really, really nice too. And during the Go Battle League weekend is when we pushed it. The annoying 5-hour push to Legends, which I stumbled a couple times. Man, I don't even want to get into it. But Willpower Cup in the Great League Edition, nothing different besides Gardevoir this go around being banned, which I can see that being an issue. We seen it last rotation this season, or actually it was last season where it wasn't too well with Gardevoir. It really broke the meta quite a bit, at least the games, but I think the meta is going to be more or less the same when that league comes out. We'll do a video because it's, again, one of my favorite leagues, and it was there's a handful of Pokemon that you kind of see, and there's a couple that break, so we'll go over that on a later week. Jumping into Scroll Cup Great League Edition, this is the new one, so it's going to be Great League, 1500 CP and below. Only water fighting and dark types are eligible, and Prima is not allowed. Thank the Pokegods for Prima not being allowed. It's always a toxic Pokemon. Master Premier, no CP limits, but legendary Pokemon, Mythicals, and Ultra Beast are not eligible. So that's kind of a nice little spin-off for Master Premier. I don't think we had this. No, it's Master League Premier. So no. This is same thing. Never mind. Moving on. Spring Cup Great League Edition must be below 1500 CP. Water, Grass, and Fairy type Pokemon are eligible, and the ones that are not, because they're banned, is Jumpluff, Roserade, and Toxapex, which I can see that toxic Jumpluff and Toxapex RPS kind of matchups. Once again, when we get to Spring Cup, we'll probably dive into it a little bit, because the narrow type of metas in these specialty cups are things that I do enjoy, even though Master League is always on the top priority of favorite leagues. Great League Remix. Check back later for more details or Pokemon that are not eligible, so I guess they're still figuring that one out. Great League Remix is always nice too, because usually it cuts majority of like the top 20 Pokemon, and that's just me generally saying top 20 Pokemon, but they usually have some sort of stats or something where the most used Pokemon is banned. Retro Cup is back again, another favorite specialty cup. Dark Steels and Fairy types are not eligible in this cup. Very, very fun cup. And then Catch Cup is whatever you catch during the season. The attack changes. Now we have Psyshock getting an energy cost decrease. The first thing that comes to mind hearing about this is Meloetta getting a boost in Master League. It's one of the bait moves that it does use, with Quick Attack being its fast move, and then it's typically Dazzling Gleam, which we'll see here in the next thing, being also buffed. But I think Meloetta is going to get a definite buff in Master League. I'm not sure how it's going to really pair up with a couple of the new Pokemon, but it's always been a very bulky Pokemon. Another one too for Master League is Tapu Lele. A little bit of a spicier type of Pokemon to use, but having Nature Madness, Astonish, and then the buffed Psyshock, it's going to give a little bit more play as a Fairy type user. So jumping into Dazzling Gleam, yeah, I'm kind of bouncing away a little bit from Psyshock, because there's not many other Pokemon between Mew having that in its move pool, Hypno, I think, what was it? Metagross's secondary stage Pokemon has it. There's a couple of other Pokemon that will get the benefit of it. Oh, actually, Ninetales. Ninetales gets the benefit of it. I'm thinking Sylveon as well too. Bronzong is going to have it. Amarage, which is that fire and ghost type Pokemon, if I'm not mistaken, on top of my head, has that move. So being an Incinerate user might be interesting for Great League or Ultra League. It's a little bit of a spicy pick, but for your baby Pokemon fans out there, I know Slowpoke has it as well too, which will be kind of interesting, and that's more or less it I can think of on a Great League level. Oh, it's Matang that has Psyshock, Metal Claw, which is 2-0 Butter's favorite spicy Pokemon pick, his go-to, but that's what it is for Psyshock, for its buff for certain Pokemon that will get it. Dazzling Gleam, once again, you're going to see Meloetta getting that buff. You're going to probably see Ninetales also getting that buff. Another Pokemon that people forget too, I'm thinking on top of my head because I scrolled down and peeked a little bit. Xurkitree in Master League has Dazzling Gleam, so having the prior Thundershock buff and the other move, which we'll disclose in a little bit, and Dazzling Gleam, you're going to have maybe a little bit more fun in Master League. Still a very squishy Pokemon, but yeah. For most Pokemon, I think also Jumpluff has it. I don't think it's going to be really used, but I don't think there's not really too many other Pokemon that are going to really benefit from Dazzling Gleam. So it's a reworked type of move. It's going to probably be a little bit beneficial. I think it has to be below 55 energy or 60 energy, so being 55 or 50 to make it work for 90 power attack. But yeah, we're gonna skip that one and move on. Aqua Jet getting a major buff this season, 70 power, and the energy is going to be decreased. A lot of people are already talking about it now, but definitely Dugong has that access to Aqua Jet. It is a legacy move, and it's one of the first things I remember, because when it was a popular Pokemon seasons ago, in the early seasons of Go Battle League, I was trying to get access to a Dugong, and I believe I have one that's a lucky traded, nothing, best for PvP IVs, but does have Aqua Jet on it, and I think Icy Winds, which probably be the moveset to try coming into this season. Maybe dropping Drill Run. The only thing that would be a little uncomfortable, which has been always uncomfortable, is the Azu and Dugong mirror matchup. But I think for most cases where you use Drill Run, I think Aqua Tail would be an interesting substitute. So keep that in mind, because I know people are going to be trying it. I'll probably try it for a little bit for some battles, but I'm not going to go too crazy into it. But I'm definitely going to have 2 Dugongs built, one with Aqua Tail and then one with the traditional movesets with Ice Shard, Icy Wind, and Drill Run. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, with Aqua Tail, another Pokemon that has it, which will be interesting, and I'm not sure if it's going to be beneficial or not, is going to be Golisopod, because it does have Liquidation. So Aqua Tail is going to be a little, I'm going to assume, be a little bit cheaper than Liquidation, but Liquidation has that chance for that debuff against your opponent. So one of those things we'll probably have to wait and see. But yeah, I don't think there's going to be anything else that's going to go crazy on that moveset. I'm just kind of quickly scrolling here and seeing anything that pops into mind. I don't think so. So those are really going to be like the 2 biggest Pokemon to consider for Aqua Jet. I think Wartortle might have it, but that's an XL level 50 Pokemon that's going to be a little spicy to use for Great League, but keep that in mind if that's a thing that you enjoy to use. Another move that's coming into getting a decrease in energy is Dynamic Punch. Now, I think Dynamic Punch is going to be an interesting adjustment in the meta. I can consider Poliwrath making a little bit of a comeback, being, the water type as it is. Dynamic Punch is probably not going to really be the moveset because most people were using Icy Wind and Scald, but if anything, I think Dynamic Punch is still going to be a viable move depending on which of these cups that we're going to be experiencing this new season. Other Pokemon that are going to definitely benefit is going to be Golurk. Don't sleep on Golurk. Even though it's a squishy Pokemon, Mud Slap is still an amazing move. They did not nerf it, so Dynamic Punch is still going to be very strong. I know Machoke and Manicham is going to have Dynamic Punch, so maybe instead of using Counter, it might have some play again with Psycho Cut. Ledian, which was a little bit of a disappointment when Counter got nerfed, but that also has Dynamic Punch too, which is pretty interesting. And also Conkeldurr for Master League Premier might have a little bit more play, not too much. I'm trying to think what other Pokemon too. I think Toxicroak has Dynamic Punch, which has been a Pokemon that has been sleeping in this meta because of all the new stuff that's been around. But again, something to consider about Dynamic Punch, Toxapex, and Breloom is another one too that has it. So Force Palm, Dynamic Punch. I think it has Trailblaze. No, does it have Trailblaze? It has Grassdon, I think. Man, I don't remember on top of my head, but it's something to consider about. I think it has Seed Bomb. That's what it is. Seed Bomb, Dynamic Punch, and Force Palm. Maybe that's something to consider about. Sludge is the next move that's getting a buff in its attack. So it's going to be 70 power as opposed to 50. Really, Galarian Weezing is the first thing that comes to mind. There's not too many Pokemon that have Sludge, but for Ultra League, that's going to be pretty beneficial. And for some of the specialty cups, Sludge is going to work for Galarian Weezing as well too. Hex is getting a buff in attack, so it's 10, and it's going to get an increase in energy generation, which is pretty big considering Astonish getting that buff from last couple seasons. So now Astonish and Hex are buffed, which is going to be a rise in the ghost types. So Lola Marowak is now going to have more play. Drifblim is going to definitely have more play. Frostlass with Hex is going to have more play to some aspect. I know Gengar has it. Jellicent maybe for Ultra League is going to have a lot more play again. And Cast Form for sure. The normal type has Hex. I forgot which Weather Cup that we had of sorts, or Element Cup basically, where Cast Form with Hex was pretty interesting because it has Weather Ball and Energy Ball, and I forgot what other big nuke move it had too, which threw people off. I remembered using it for a little bit. Hisui Typhlosion actually has Hex. So with the Fire Punch buff, from prior season, and then Shadow Ball is going to be pretty interesting for some specialty cups. And then you're just going to have to consider, Banette and Golden Go and what was the other Pokemon? Drifblim. If you want to jump between Astonish, assumingly being a better attack weighted fast move, or going to Hex as far as being a faster energy generating move. So Hex is pretty interesting. Acrobatics getting an energy cost decrease, so that's going to throw things up in the air for Jump Bluff, and also Emolga. Emolga is going to have a lot more play. Air Cutter is getting a trainer battle, lower power of 45 as opposed to 60, but also its energy cost is going to decrease. Chance of increasing the user's attack by 1 stage. I know Pidgeot has it, and Crobat and Golbat. Those are the top 3 that I recall. There's other Pokemon that have it because Air Cutter was such a bad move, so that might be kind of an interesting. I don't know if I would say it's going to be a little bit better than a Cross Poison kind of a thing. We'll have to wait and see, but I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. It's something that's going to be fun to use here and there, but I don't think it's going to really change the meta too much with certain Pokemon. Rock Tomb is getting a buff, an 80 power, less energy, and guaranteeing to lower your opponent's stage by 1. I mean, that was a given. It's always been the same that way. Macargo is really going to be the biggest one that's going to have Rock Tomb. It's going to get the biggest buff. One of the Cofagrigus has that too. Which, I don't know, be pretty interesting considering. Rollout's getting a nerf, 7 power, that's not too bad. Nightshade getting a decrease in attack by 70 instead of 80, that's directed towards Corsola. Foul Play is going down to 60, and energy costs being decreased as well too, so interesting. Okay, so that's Sableye and Malamar being the biggest 2, and a lot of the other dark types, Umbreon as well. Interesting. It's going to be pretty interesting. It's going to be a little bit of a spammier move, so I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit slower than Brutal Swing, but a little bit more. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see on that one too. Discharge going down to 55 as opposed to 65, but your energy cost is going to decrease as well too. Emolga once again getting a buff. Emolga is going to have a lot of play this season. Interesting, but you're going to have some Pokemon that are going to counter the flying and electric type. So yeah, a lot of, again, Circuitry. I'm just putting it out there. I'm going to have a little bit more play with Circuitry. Probably not going to get those wins, but it's going to make it a little bit easier. I still actually wish that Electivire gets Discharge. And I wish Discharge can lower your opponent's attack by 1 stage too. But jumping into the available attack updates, Piloswine is getting Icicle Sphere. Mamoswine's getting that as well too, which that will be pretty interesting for Master League Premier. That's going to shake things up a little bit, that's for sure. Togetic and Togekiss is getting Psyshock, so that's going to help Togekiss a little bit more. Not the Pokemon I would really want to see, but oh well. Scrolling down here, the other major Pokemon that's going to be a threat, I believe, this season, I already made that post, is going to be Lapras. Lapras is going to have a huge buff because it's going to also get Dynamic Punch and then Psywave. So with that new cup, Lapras is definitely going to be a safe swap for sure between the fighter types that we're going to see. What else? Grumpig is getting Psywave. It's pretty interesting. Ferret's getting Swift. Lanoon is getting Swift. Drampa is getting Swift. Grumpig is getting Dynamic Punch. So I guess we're going to have to check Grumpig IVs now because that's going to be another odd Psychic type that's going to have some play. Dusknoir is getting Dynamic Punch. So that's pretty interesting against the normal types. So something to consider about. Lapras is also getting Dynamic Punch. Pretty interesting as well too. Sparkling Aura is given to Sableye. Dazzling Gleam is given to Ribombay. And Blastoise is getting Rollout. Okay, a little bit more play for Blastoise. I like that. So you're going to get some more Ultra League Blastoise. There was some play for that at some point. I don't know about Great League. There's other better water types for Great League. Boy, a lot of new Pokemon got Rollout. Wailmer, Wailord, Glalie, Credilli is getting a Rock Tomb. That's pretty interesting. That's going to change things up. So again, Credilli in Ultra League is going to have a little bit more play on top for Great League for certain specialty cups. Keep that in mind. Bombardier, if I'm saying that right, is also getting that too. Rock Tomb, interesting. Swampert's getting Sludge, so it's probably a quicker move than Sludge Wave. I'm not not sure if that's going to really make a change. Swalot has Sludge as well. Interesting. Dragalge, another Pokemon that's getting another move. Sludge Bomb. Interesting. It's always been an interesting pick for Dragalge. Roserade's getting Poison Sting. Okay, so it's going to get really spammy. It has Leaf Storm, which is a heavy hitting move. So Roserade might have some play for Master League Premier. Keep that in mind. Furret's getting Trailblaze. Pretty interesting too, because it already has Sucker Punch and Swift, so that's going to be pretty spammy. So find your IVs for Furret. Lornoon's getting Trailblaze. Pretty interesting, because it used to have Grass Knot, so now it has Shadow Claw, Trailblaze, Thunder, and Grass Knot. Okay, and Swift too, if I'm not mistaken now. Florges is getting Trailblaze, so that's going to be a buff for all leagues, I'm assuming. Maybe not so much for Great League, but for Ultra League, I would imagine, and also for Master League Premier, and just Master League Open, because if you're a type of trainer that likes to use budget Pokemon, that's going to be huge. We kind of messed around a little bit with the grass types with Enamorus, with the Rhyperior and Primacore, and yeah, Florges is now going to help break that quite a bit. Mighty Yenna is getting Sucker Punch. Pretty interesting, something to maybe look out for. And Bellybolt is getting it too. And Bombardier. I'm not probably saying that correctly, but it's also getting Sucker Punch. So that's an interesting one too. So I want to get some IVs for that one, because that's going to have probably some play. It's a little frail, but it still hits pretty hard. So yeah, that's about it. So I think this new season's going to shake up some things, not too much. I'm assuming already that most of the top meta is going to still remain the same, but I think with Lapras was the biggest one that I've seen. Sableye is going to probably make a comeback a little bit. Might see a little bit more Blastoise gameplay here nor there, and maybe Furret as well too for Great League. Roserade, so Master League Premier is going to shake up a little bit, but not too much, but that's going to be cool. All right, something to look forward to this new season. I'm kind of looking forward to it anyways, because we have this week left and I haven't really been playing this past week. I've just been so busy with work. Tonight I have a dual stream with a friend, Lord Drew 360, and that's about it. I don't know if you guys really paid attention to the last short that I just posted, but I used my trinket on a account called Scam Wild Lance, one of my old accounts that I used to use, and ever since level 50 I haven't really used it, because man, the grind on one account is just enough for me with everything else. But I had an extra Solgaleo, and I did the lucky trade, and it turned out being a hundo, which is perfect for next season after all these fused Kirums. Solgaleo is going to make a little bit of a comeback. People are not going to see it, but it's going to make a little bit of a comeback if you play it out right. So stoked about it. So stoked, because I've been waiting. I have the XLs for it, so I need a little bit more Stardust. I think it's like 20,000 Stardust, and I'm going to get that this weekend, get it next week, and power it up, and we're going to be all good to go. So, but yeah, that's about it for this episode. It's probably dragged out a little too much, but yeah, we're going to see what we're going to do for next week. As far as the next episode, we're going to probably jump into Great League a little bit, and the Willpower Cup as well too. So have a good day, good night, wherever you're at. Be nice and kind to others, and I'll see y'all later on the next episode. Ciao.